The envelope slid across the metal desk like a guillotine blade. Reginald Reggie Thompson, 50, stared at the single sheet inside. 25 years on the line at the Detroit Auto Parts plant. Gone in one sentence. The supervisor wouldn't meet his eyes. Corporate decision, Reg. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. The words echoed as Reggie walked out past the humming machines that had replaced him. His hands, once steady on the press, now trembled. Mortgage. College tuition for his daughter. A wife who'd stood by him through every overtime shift. All of it balanced on a paycheck that no longer existed. He drove home through streets slick with winter rain, the wipers beating a funeral rhythm. Loretta was in the kitchen when he stepped inside, her nurse's scrubs still on, stirring greens that smelled like Sunday even though it was Tuesday. One look at his face and the spoon stopped. "They let you go," she said. "Not a question." Reggie nodded, the envelope limp in his fist. Loretta's arms wrapped around him, but her silence carried weight. What now? Their daughter Aaliyah, 20, home from state college for the weekend, caught the tail end from the hallway. "Dad, that's criminal," she hissed, braids swinging as she paced. 25 years and they toss you like trash? Reggie managed a cracked smile. "Machines don't take sick days, baby girl." Aaliyah's eyes flashed. "Then we make something they can't automate." That night, after Loretta fell asleep, Reggie sat at the scarred oak table under a single bulb. He pulled out a cracked leather notebook, his mother's, passed down after her stroke 5 years earlier. Inside, in her looping cursive, Mama's secret smoke sauce. Molasses, smoked paprika, a whisper of ghost pepper heat. She'd slathered it on ribs at every family cookout, neighbors begging for jars she never sold. Reggie traced the ink. An idea, ridiculous and electric, sparked in the dark. The next morning he hit the wholesale club with the last of their emergency cash. $200 on spices, vinegar, brown sugar. Loretta watched him unload bags, arms crossed. "Reg, we need groceries, not a science experiment." "It's not an experiment," he said, voice low. "It's a lifeline." Aaliyah filmed him on her phone as the kitchen filled with smoke and sweetness. She posted the clip to a local food group with the caption, "Dad's about to change the game. Who's ready?" Reggie shook his head. "I'm 50. Games are for kids." But the pot bubbled, and the scent wrapped the house like a promise. 3 weeks later, the neighborhood winter block party rolled around, grills firing despite the cold, music thumping from portable speakers. Reggie bottled 20 jars, hand-labeled in marker, Reggie's Smoke. $10 each. Loretta packed a cooler with ice and doubt. At the party, steam rose from foil-wrapped ribs. Reggie set up a card table between a snowball stand and a bouncy castle. First customer, old Mr. Jenkins from the corner store. He twisted off a cap, dipped a wing, eyes widening. "Boy, this ain't sauce. This is Sunday dinner in a bottle." Word spread faster than grease on a hot grill. By dusk, 18 jars gone. $180 cash in a coffee can. Aaliyah live updated the food group. Sold out in 3 hours. Loretta counted the bills, lips moving silently. For the first time since the layoff, she smiled, small but real. Back home, Reggie opened the notebook to a fresh page. Day 1, $180. Underneath he wrote, "Goal, 7 figures in 13 months. Aaliyah peeked over his shoulder. "You're crazy, Dad." Reggie tapped the page. "Crazy keeps the lights on." Across the street, Mr. Carter, owner of Carter's Rib Shack, watched from his food truck, arms folded, smirk sharp as a cleaver. "Cute hobby, Reggie," he called. "Stick to the day job." Reggie didn't answer. He was already calculating how many jars fit in a trunk, how many trunks fit in a weekend, how many weekends fit in 13 months. The axe had fallen. Now the real work began. The $180 from the block party sat in a mason jar on the kitchen counter like a dare. Reggie stared at it every morning while the coffee brewed, the glass catching the weak February light. 18 jars sold in 3 hours. 18 people who tasted his mother's sauce and wanted more. 18 reasons to believe the impossible might just be arithmetic. Loretta passed behind him, tying her hair for the night shift. "That money's for groceries, Reg," she warned, softer than before, but still firm. Reggie didn't argue. He simply slid the jar into the fridge beside the milk. Out of sight, not out of mind. Aaliyah had other plans. She spent the weekend designing a proper label on her laptop. Bold red letters, Reggie's Smoke, a cartoon flame curling into a dollar sign. She printed 50 stickers at the library for $2. Reggie raised an eyebrow. "Branding, Dad. First rule of business." He laughed, short, surprised, the first real laugh since the layoff. They turned the garage into a makeshift bottling plant. Reggie scrubbed the concrete floor until it gleamed. He bought a used 20-quart stock pot for $30 at a restaurant supply auction. Loretta donated her canning rack and a box of half-pint mason jars she'd never used. Every evening after her shift, she walked in to find Reggie elbow-deep in bubbling sauce, the air thick with smoke and cayenne. She didn't complain anymore. She started timing the simmer. The first real test came at the spring church fair. 300 attendees, folding tables under a white tent, the smell of fried fish and peach cobbler drifting on the breeze that Reggie loaded the trunk with 50 jars, priced at $12 now. Aaliyah set up a chalkboard sign. Taste the smoke. You'll be back. Loretta manned the cash box, her nurse's calm perfect for handling lines. The first hour was slow. A few curious nibbles. Then Mrs. Henderson, church choir director, known for her brutal honesty, dipped a plastic spoon. Her eyes closed. "Lord have mercy," she whispered. She bought 4 jars on the spot and told every soprano within earshot. By noon, the line snaked past the cotton candy machine. Reggie flipped sample wings on a portable grill, sweat beading under his cap. A local radio DJ wandered over, mic in hand. "Mind if I go live?" Reggie shrugged. The DJ took a bite, froze, then leaned into the mic. "Detroit, if you're not here right now, you're missing the best damn sauce this city's ever tasted." Phones came out. Videos uploaded. By closing bell, 48 jars sold. $5.76 in crumpled bills and coins. Aaliyah hooped so loud the tent rattled. Back home, Reggie sat at the table counting stacks. Loretta added it to a spreadsheet she'd started without telling him. Month 2 total, $756. Minus ingredients and gas, $412 profit. Reggie stared at the numbers. Still not rent, but rent for the first time in weeks. Mr. Carter showed up the next day. He leaned against Reggie's garage door, arms crossed, gold chain glinting. "Heard you had a little weekend," he said, voice syrupy. "People like the sauce," Reggie replied, wiping down the stock pot. Carter chuckled. "People like free samples. Wait till they gotta pay full price at a store. You'll be back begging for your old job." He flicked a business card onto the workbench. "Carter's Rib Shack Wholesale. Call me when the fairy tale ends." Reggie let the card sit. Didn't pick it up. Didn't throw it away. Word spread faster than smoke. A neighborhood Facebook group exploded with photos of empty jars and 5-star reviews that a local grocery co-op manager messaged Aaliyah. "Bring me 50 jars for a weekend trial. $8 wholesale." Reggie read the message 3 times. $400 up front. He could buy a commercial blender. Loretta read it over his shoulder. "We don't have 50 jars," she said. "We will buy Friday," he answered. They worked in shifts. Reggie cooked at night. Loretta bottled at dawn before her shift. Aaliyah labeled between classes, driving home every weekend with empty trunks and full hope. Neighbors started dropping off clean jars. Mrs. Henderson brought a crate of recycled ball jars for the cause. By Thursday, 50 jars lined the garage shelves, lids sealed tight, labels straight. Reggie loaded them into the back of his '98 Civic, the suspension groaning. Loretta kissed him at the door. "Drive safe. Come back with a contract." He came back with a handshake and a purchase order. The co-op put the sauce on the end cap by the registers. Weekend 1, 42 jars sold. Weekend 2, 68. The manager called. "We're out. Bring 100 next Friday, or don't bother coming." Reggie hung up, heart hammering. 100 jars meant $800 wholesale. But 100 jars meant a bigger pot, commercial kitchen time, labels that didn't peel in the fridge. It meant risk. He sat Loretta down that night. Spreadsheet open. Numbers brutal. To hit 100 jars, he needed $1,200 up front. Ingredients, rented kitchen, new lids. They had $900 in savings after the mortgage. Loretta stared at the screen. Then she opened her purse, pulled out her overtime check. $1,100. "Take it," she said. Reggie's throat closed. "This is your cushion." "You're my cushion," she answered. Aaliyah walked in, saw the check, added her campus job savings, $400. The family fund, $2,400. All in. They rented a church kitchen for Saturday nights, $75 a pop. Reggie bought a 40-quart pot that barely fit in the Civic. Aaliyah designed a new label, Reggie's Smoke, Detroit-born, fire-forged. They cooked until 3 a.m., steam fogging the windows, gospel radio low. Loretta stirred, Reggie bottled, Aaliyah boxed. 100 jars by dawn. Delivered by noon. The co-op manager grinned when the boxes hit the dock. "Keep this up, we'll need 200 next month." Reggie drove home with an empty trunk and a full chest. Mr. Carter's food truck parked outside the co-op that afternoon. He watched Reggie unload, jaw tight. Later, a rumor floated. Carter told suppliers Reggie's sauce was fly-by-night junk. Sales dipped for one day. Then the co-op posted a photo. Sold out again. The rumor died. Month 4 total, $4,200 wholesale. Profit after costs, $2,100. Reggie paid Loretta back her overtime. She refused. Invest it, she said. So he did. Into a used commercial blender and a pallet of jars. The garage became a warehouse. The Civic became a delivery van. The side hustle had a pulse. One night, Reggie found Aaliyah asleep on the couch, laptop open to a wholesale website. She'd mocked up a full product line, mild, spicy, extra smoky. A mock invoice, 1,000 jars to regional chain. He closed the laptop gently, heart swelling. In the quiet, he opened Mama's notebook to a blank page. Month 4, $2,100 profit. Underneath, 13 months to 7 figures. Still breathing. The spark was no longer a flicker. It was a controlled burn. And Detroit was about to feel the heat. The regional chain's email arrived like a thunderclap. Subject, 1,000 jar trial, 30-day window. Reggie read it 3 times in the church kitchen, steam curling around his face. 1,000 jars. $8,000 wholesale. Enough to pay the mortgage for 6 months. Enough to prove this wasn't a hobby. Enough to terrify him. The catch, delivery in 4 weeks. 4 weeks to produce, label, and ship a volume that had taken 4 months to reach. Reggie closed the laptop, hands slick with sweat. He had $2,100 in profit, a 40-quart pot, and a garage that smelled like a smokehouse. No commercial license. No co-packer. No safety net. He drove home at dawn, the Civic rattling under the weight of empty crates. Loretta met him at the door, still in scrubs, eyes red from the night shift. "Tell me," she said. He handed her the printout. She read in silence, then looked up. "We need a bigger kitchen." Reggie nodded. "And a loan." Loretta's jaw set. "Then we get both." The bank laughed first. No collateral, no revenue history, no chance. Reggie walked out with a polite smile and a knot in his gut. Aaliyah had a different plan. She'd found a shared commercial kitchen 2 miles away, $150 per 8-hour block, licensed, stainless steel, walk-in cooler. They booked every Friday and Saturday night for the next month. $1,200 gone before the first batch boiled. They needed $6,000 more, ingredients, lids, labels, shipping pallets. Loretta cashed her 401k early penalty for $1,000 after taxes. Aaliyah sold her textbook fund, $800. Reggie sold his fishing boat, the one he hadn't touched in 3 years, $1,500. The family fund hit zeroed, every dime now rode on sauce. The first Friday night in the new kitchen was chaos. Reggie scaled the recipe to 20 gallons, the pot barely containing the roiling Red Sea. Loretta stirred with a canoe paddle. Aaliyah ran labels through a borrowed printer, ink smudging in the heat. At 2 a.m., the health inspector walked in unannounced. Reggie froze, paddle midair. The inspector tasted a sample, nodded once, stamped the logbook, approved. They finished 250 jars by sunrise. Reggie drove home with the windows down, the smell of victory clinging to his clothes. Word of the big order leaked. Mr. Carter showed up at the shared kitchen the next night, gold chain swinging. "Heard you're playing with the big dogs now," he said, leaning against the prep table. Reggie kept bottling. Carter picked up a jar, turned it like evidence. "1 bad batch and you're done. FDA don't play." He left the jar on the counter, lid loose. Reggie tightened it without a word. The block party loomed. Detroit's biggest of the year, 10,000 people, food row a half-mile long. Reggie booked a 10 by 10 tent for $300. He printed a banner, "Reggie's Smoke," now in stores. Aaliyah built a sampling station with a flat-top grill and a stack of wings. They planned to sell 200 jars retail, hand out 1,000 samples, and film everything. If the video popped, the regional chain would see demand. If it flopped, they were bankrupt. The morning of the party, rain threatened. Reggie loaded the Civic until the rear bumper scraped. Loretta rode shotgun, cooler between her feet. Aaliyah live-streamed from the back seat. "Today we go big or go home." They arrived to a sea of tents, smoke, and bass. Reggie's spot sat between a vegan taco stand and Carter's rib shack. Prime real estate, pure sabotage. Carter waved from his booth, grinning like a shark. The gates opened at noon. The first hour was slow, rain held people back. Then the clouds broke, and the crowd surged. Reggie fired the grill, wings sizzling. Aaliyah handed out samples on toothpicks. Loretta worked the cash box like a casino dealer. By 2 p.m., the line stretched 30 deep. A food vlogger with 200,000 followers stopped, phone up. "What's the story?" she asked. Reggie told it straight. "Fired at 50, Mama's recipe, family all in." She tasted the sauce, eyes widening. "This is Detroit in a bottle," she declared to the camera. The video uploaded at 2:17 p.m. By 3 p.m., the tent was mobbed. Reggie sold 150 jars in 90 minutes. Carter's line dwindled to 3. At 4 p.m., the vlogger's video hit 100,000 views. Phones buzzed across the festival. People sprinted to Reggie's tent, cash waving. By 6 p.m., every jar was gone. $3,600 in sales. Aaliyah's live feed showed empty shelves and a sea of red lids. The regional chain's buyer called at 6:30. Saw the numbers. "We're doubling the order. 2,000 jars, 45 days. Reggie hung up, legs buckling. Loretta caught him. Aaliyah screamed into the sky. Carter approached as they packed up, face tight. "Luck," he muttered. Reggie loaded the last crate. "Luck don't bottle itself." Carter walked away without another word. Back home, Reggie opened the notebook. Month 6 total, $12,000 wholesale plus $3,600 retail. Profit after costs, $8,200. Underneath, 2,000 jars due. 7 months left. He looked at Loretta, asleep on the couch, scrubs still on. At Aaliyah, editing the block party footage until dawn. At the empty garage, now a warehouse in waiting. The spark had become a blaze. But 2,000 jars meant a real factory. A real loan. A real war with Carter. And only 7 months to prove the fire wouldn't burn them alive. The 2,000 jar order sat on the kitchen table like a loaded gun. 45 days. $16,000 wholesale. A contract with a regional grocery chain that could make or bury them. Reggie stared at the signature line until the letters blurred. One pen stroke, and the garage dream became a factory nightmare. The shared church kitchen topped out at 300 jars per session. 7 sessions to hit 2,000. 7 sleepless weeks. Reggie ran the math on a napkin. Ingredients, lids, labels, fuel, rented time. $9,400 out of pocket. They had $8,200. Close, but not close enough. Loretta slid the napkin away. "We're short 1,200. I'll pick up doubles." Reggie shook his head. "You're already on fumes." Aaliyah closed her laptop. "Then we crowdfund the gap." She launched a campaign that night. Help Reggie's Smoke feed Detroit. 2,000 jars for the shelves. Goal, $1,500. Perks, signed jars, t-shirts, a private tasting. By morning, $800 poured in from neighbors, church members, block party strangers. By noon, the vlogger from the festival shared it. $2,100 in 24 hours. They shut it down at $3,000, stunned. The comments overflowed. "This is our sauce." With cash in hand, Reggie booked a decommissioned bakery kitchen, 1,200 square feet, walk-in cooler, conveyor belt, for $100 per weekend. He hired 2 line cooks from the auto plant layoffs, $20 an hour, cash. They showed up in steel-toe boots, ready to stir. First Saturday, 500 jars sealed, labeled, boxed. Second Saturday, 600. The rhythm locked in, pot to funnel to jar to cooler, like the assembly line he'd lost, but this time he owned the bolts. Mr. Carter struck on the 3rd weekend. A city inspector arrived unannounced, clipboard in hand. Anonymous complaint, sanitation violation. Reggie's stomach dropped. The inspector sniffed, poked, measured. Found 1 loose lid. Wrote a warning. Left. Reggie tightened every lid twice after that. Lease required first, last, security, $6,000. They had $4,800 after crowdfunding. Loretta called her credit union. Small business line of credit, $10,000, 9% interest, approved same day. She signed without blinking. Reggie stared at the approval email. Debt. Real debt. The kind that could take the house. They moved in on a Wednesday. Reggie painted the walls himself. White, clean, FDA ready. Aaliyah designed shelf-ready packaging. Sleek black boxes, gold foil logo. The line cooks brought cousins. 6 people, 3 pots, 1 mission. First full run, 1,200 jars in 10 hours. Reggie slept on a cot in the office, alarm set for 4 a.m. quality checks. Loretta brought dinner in Tupperware, greens, cornbread, no questions. Aaliyah skipped midterms, told her professors it was a family emergency. It was. Carter escalated. A fake health department notice taped to the warehouse door, closed for contamination. Reggie ripped it down, called the city. Prank, the clerk said. Reggie installed a security camera anyway. That night, the feed caught Carter's nephew spray painting fly-by-night on the roll-up door. Reggie saved the footage, said nothing. Not yet. The final push, 1,300 jars in one marathon weekend. 48 hours straight. Red Bull, gospel playlists, no sleep. At 3 a.m. Sunday, the last lid clicked. 2,500 jars palletized, shrink-wrapped, ready. Reggie stood in the cooler, breath fogging, counting rows. Loretta handed him a coffee. We did it. He couldn't speak, just nodded. Delivery day. The grocery chain's truck backed in at 7 a.m. The driver scanned pallets, signed the manifest. $20,000 wired by noon. Reggie sat in the empty warehouse, echo loud, bank app open. Balance, $14,200. Minus debt, rent, payroll, $3,800 profit. He forwarded the deposit screenshot to Loretta. Her reply, a single emoji. The national buyer's email landed at 2:14 a.m. Subject, 10,000 jar pilot, 60 days, $75,000 wholesale. Reggie read it on the warehouse cot, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. $75,000. Enough to clear the credit line, pay Loretta's 401k, and still have runway. Enough to go from garage to empire in one leap. Enough to make every sleepless night feel like prophecy. He forwarded the message to the family group chat. Loretta replied instantly. Call them at 8 o'clock sharp. Aaliyah sent a string of fire emojis and a single word, capacity. Capacity was the problem. The warehouse topped out at 1,200 jars per weekend with 6 people. 10,000 jars meant 25 straight days of production, round the clock. Reggie needed a second shift, a second line, a second life. He walked the empty floor at dawn, boots echoing, measuring square footage with a tape from the dollar store. He could fit 2 more 60-quart kettles, a second labeling station, a pallet jack. Cost, $18,000 in equipment, $12,000 in ingredients, $15,000 in labor. Total, $45,000. They had $3,800. The buyer called at 8:01. Reggie, we love the story. Fired worker, mama's recipe, Detroit grit. But we need proof you can scale. Send a production plan by Friday. Reggie's mouth went dry. Friday, he repeated. Click. He gathered the crew in the warehouse at noon. 6 faces. Line cooks, cousins, Aaliyah home from campus. He laid out the deal. Silence. Then Mrs. Henderson's nephew, Deshaun, spoke up. I know a guy with a shuttered hot sauce plant in Hamtramck. Equipment, coolers, everything. He'll lease cheap if we take it all. Reggie's pulse spiked. How cheap? 10 grand a month. First 3 free if we clean it out. Aaliyah's eyes lit. That's our runway. They drove to Hamtramck at dusk. The plant was a ghost. Conveyor belts frozen, kettles the size of bathtubs, walk-ins big enough to park a truck. Dust thick as carpet. Reggie ran a finger along a 200-gallon kettle. No rust. He turned to the owner. Deal. Handshake sealed before the sun dropped. They moved in over President's Day weekend. 20 volunteers, church members, auto plant buddies, Aaliyah's sorority sisters, hauled trash, scrubbed stainless, painted lines on the floor. Reggie bought 3 used kettles for $9,000 on credit. A local spice wholesaler fronted $8,000 in ingredients against the national PO. The crew grew to 15, 3 8-hour shifts, $22 an hour. Payroll, $20,000 for the 60-day sprint. Still short $10,000. Loretta walked in with a cashier's check. Her final 401k withdrawal. No penalty this time. Reggie tried to refuse. She pressed it into his palm. Build it, Reg. Then bring it home. Production began March 1st. Shift 1:06 a.m. to 2 p.m. Shift 2:02 p.m. to 10 p.m. Shift 3:10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Reggie floated between all 3, sleeping in snatches on a pallet of lids. Day 3, 1,000 jars. Day 7, 2,500. Day 14, 5,000. The plant hummed like the factory he'd lost, but this time the rhythm was his. Carter went nuclear. A cease and desist letter arrived. Trademark infringement on smoke designation. Reggie's lawyer cousin read it, laughed. Generic term. Toss it. But the letter spooked the spice wholesaler. Deliveries delayed 2 days. Reggie drove to the supplier himself, loaded a U-Haul with pallets, paid cash. Carter's nephew followed him in a pickup, tailing too close. Reggie lost him on the Lodge freeway, heart pounding harder than the engine. The vlogger from the block party returned with a film crew. National Food Channel, 1.2 million subscribers. She tasted the new extra smoky batch, eyes rolling back. Reggie, this is the best sauce I've ever had. Period. The segment aired prime time. Views hit 1 million in 48 hours. Orders flooded the website Aaliyah had built in her dorm. 5,000 direct-to-consumer jars at $15 each. The national buyer called. Pilot approved. 25,000 jars, 90 days, $180,000. Reggie sat on a crate, phone to ear, warehouse roaring around him. He couldn't speak. The buyer laughed. We'll send the contract. Don't miss it. Carter's final play came at midnight. The warehouse alarm shrieked. Motion sensor. Reggie bolted from the cot, camera feed on his phone. Carter's nephew and two others, masks, bolt cutters. They sliced the chain link, slipped inside. Reggie hit the floodlights from the panel. Blinding white. The intruders froze. Security company rolled up in 90 seconds. Contract Reggie had signed with the first crowdfunding surplus. Cops cuffed the trio. Carter's nephew sang. Uncle paid us $500 each to trash the kettles. Reggie saved the confession on his phone. Called Carter at 3 a.m. Played the audio. Silence. Then, we're square. Click. The 10,000 jar pilot shipped on day 59. 25 pallets, shrink-wrapped, labeled, perfect. The truck pulled away at dawn. Reggie stood in the empty bay, crew behind him, exhaustion etched in every face. $75,000 wired by noon. Debt cleared. Payroll met. $22,000 left. He opened the notebook. Month 11 total, $100,000 wholesale plus $75,000 DDC. Profit, $48,000. Underneath, 25,000 jars locked. 2 months to 7 figures. The surge was no longer a wave. It was a tsunami, and Detroit was only the beginning. The 25,000 jar contract sat on the warehouse desk like a golden ticket with razor edges. $180,000 wholesale. 90 days. Coast-to-coast distribution. Reggie stared at the signature page until the ink seemed to pulse. One stroke, and Reggie's smoke became a national brand. One misstep, and the house, the warehouse, the dream, gone. The buyer's addendum arrived the same afternoon. Requires FDA-registered facility, third-party lab testing, UPC codes, liability insurance, and 60-day net terms. Reggie read it aloud to the crew. Silence swallowed the plant. They had a leased ghost factory, a jury-rigged line, and $48,000 in the bank. The venture capitalists wanted 40% equity. Reggie hung up on the third offer. Aaliyah scrolled supplier forms at 2 a.m. Found a food accelerator program in Grand Rapids. $100,000 grant. No equity, but application closed in 36 hours. She filled it out on her phone while Reggie drove to Kinko's for prints. They submitted at 11:59 p.m. Subject line. Fired at 50, building Detroit's next icon. The accelerator called the next morning. Reggie, your story's gold. But we need a co-packer with capacity for 100,000 units quarterly. Reggie's throat closed. I'll find one. He had 24 hours. He cold-called every co-packer within 200 miles. Most laughed. One in Toledo bid. 80,000 jar capacity, $3.50 per unit, 30-day terms. Total cost, $350,000 for the first quarter. Reggie's $48,000 covered the deposit. The rest rode on the accelerator grant. He signed the LOI with a pen that skipped. Carter resurfaced. Not with sabotage, with a white flag. He showed up at the warehouse unannounced, hat in hand, gold chain gone. Reg, I was wrong. City's big enough for both of us. Let me supply ribs to your stores, private label. Reggie studied him. Carter's eyes were bloodshot. Truck payments 3 months late. Reggie extended a hand. Partners. Equal split on private label. You run production, I run brand. Carter gripped it like a lifeline. Deal. The accelerator grant hit the account at 4:17 p.m., $100,000 wire. Reggie paid the co-packer deposit, FDA fees, lab tests, insurance. $12,000 left. He bought the crew pizza and Red Bull. They cheered like they'd won the lottery. They had. Production shifted to Toledo. Reggie kept the Hamtramck plant for R&D, new flavors, small batches. First co-packer run, 25,000 jars in 8 days. Pallets rolled out on schedule. The national chain wired $180,000 on day 89. Reggie paid the co-packer, cleared the grant terms, banked $42,000. He opened the notebook. Month 12 total, $280,000 wholesale plus $112,000 DDC. Profit, $138,000. 1 month left. 7 figures meant $1 million revenue. They were at $392,000. $608,000 short. The buyer called with a lifeline and a landmine. Reggie, Q2 order, 100,000 jars, $750,000 wholesale. But we need exclusivity. No direct sales, no private label with competitors. Reggie's stomach dropped. Carter's rib deal, dead. Direct website, dead. $608,000 gap, now a canyon. He gathered the family at the kitchen table. Loretta's face pale. Aaliyah's laptop opened to sales projections. Reggie laid out the choice. Take the deal, scale to millions, lose control. Or keep freedom, cap at 6 figures, risk stagnation. Silence stretched. Loretta spoke first. Your mama didn't raise a tenant. She raised a landlord. Aaliyah closed the laptop. We build our own chain. Reject exclusivity. Reggie exhaled. He called the buyer. No exclusivity. We'll hit your volume through open channels. Pause. Done. Contract amendment Monday. Click. They pivoted hard. Aaliyah launched a subscription box. 3 jars monthly, $39. First day, 2,000 signups. Carter pivoted to private label sauce for his rebuilt rib chain, 20 locations. $50,000 monthly. The accelerator introduced a big box retailer, 200 stores, 500 jars each, $350,000 PO. Reggie signed. The co-packer added a second line. 100,000 jars became 150,000. Revenue ticked like a taxi meter. Month 13, day 28. The final deposit hit at 11:47 p.m. $1,003,400.12. 7 figures. Reggie sat in the warehouse office, lights off, screen glow on his face. He opened Mama's notebook to the last page. 13 months. $1,003,400. Underneath, in shaking ink. Mama, we did it. He drove home at midnight. Loretta waited on the porch, coffee in hand. Aaliyah asleep on the couch, laptop open to the subscription dashboard. 5,000 members. Carter's first rib shipment rolled out tomorrow. The house mortgage, paid off with the first $100,000. Aaliyah's tuition, covered for good. The crew, bonuses, health insurance, profit share. Reggie stood in the doorway, keys dangling. The man fired at 50 was gone. In his place, founder, employer, millionaire. The side hustle had hit its mark. But the milestone wasn't the money. It was the proof. One fired man, one recipe, one family. Enough to rewrite the rules. The $1 million wire cleared at 12:01 a.m. on the first day of month 14. Reggie didn't celebrate. He sat in the warehouse office, lights off, city glow bleeding through the blinds. The number on the screen was real, but it felt like someone else's life. He opened Mama's notebook to the final blank page. Wrote one line. We're just getting started. The national chain rolled Reggie's smoke into 1,200 stores. End caps exploded. Mild, spicy, extra smoky, limited edition ghost pepper. Subscription boxes hit 12,000 members. Carter's rib chain expanded to 50 locations, every plate dripping Reggie's private label gold. Revenue climbed past $2 million in the next quarter. Reggie paid every debt, cashed out the crew's profit share, and still had 7 figures in the bank. But money wasn't the legacy. The legacy was the ripple. He bought the Hamtramck plant outright, $750,000 cash, no loan. Renamed it Mama's Smoke Factory. Hired 30 full-time, mostly laid-off auto workers, $25 an hour, full benefits. Aaliyah graduated summa cum laude, walked across the stage clutching a bottle of sauce instead of a cap. She turned down 6-figure tech offers to run marketing. Loretta quit nursing, became COO, and turned the warehouse into a machine that purred. Carter showed up one Tuesday, clean-shaven, suit instead of an apron. Reg, I'm closing the original shack. Can't compete with the brand we built. Reggie poured 2 coffees. Keep the shack. Turn it into a training kitchen. Teach kids the recipe, the hustle. I'll fund it. Carter's eyes glistened. Partners for real this time. Reggie clinked mugs. Family. The city noticed. The mayor called. Reggie, we want you for the Small Business Legacy Award. Key to the city, the whole deal. Reggie almost hung up. Instead, he accepted, on one condition. The ceremony had to be at the plant, doors open, crew on stage. The mayor agreed. The night of the award, the factory floor gleamed. Conveyor belts silent, kettles polished, 5,000 jars pyramid like trophies. The crew wore matching black tees. Mama's Smoke, Detroit Strong. Aaliyah emceed. Loretta stood beside Reggie, hand in his. Carter cut the ribbon on the new training kitchen in the back. The mayor handed over the key, solid bronze, engraved from fire to empire. Reggie took the mic. Voice steady, no notes. I was 50, broke and scared. One recipe, one family, one city said yes. This key don't open doors, it reminds us we build them. The room erupted. Phones up. The speech hit 1 million views by morning. The ripple became a wave. Reggie launched the Smoke Fund, $500,000 seed pool for laid-off workers with a recipe, a craft, a dream. First recipient, a 55-year-old welder with a jerky rub. Second, a 48-year-old teacher with a hot honey glaze. Both hit 6 figures in year 1. The fund grew to 2 million, self-sustaining, zero strings. National TV came calling. Morning shows, cooking channels, Shark Tank reruns. Reggie turned them down. Sent Aaliyah instead. She killed every segment. Subscriptions doubled. Big box retail giant offered $50 million for the brand. Reggie met the execs in the training kitchen, kids bottling behind him. My name stays. My people stay. My city stays. Otherwise, no deal. They walked. He didn't flinch. 1 year after the million, Reggie stood on the factory roof at sunset. Detroit sprawled below, smokestacks, freeways, hope. Loretta joined him, coffee in hand. Remember the $180 coffee can? She asked. Reggie laughed. Now it's a vault. Aaliyah climbed the ladder, phone glowing. Dad, the fund just hit applicant 10,000. Reggie looked out over the city that fired him, then hired him back as king. He opened Mama's notebook, now encased in glass on the factory wall. Added one final entry on a fresh page taped beside it. Fired at 50. Empire by 51. Legacy forever. The side hustle wasn't a hustle anymore. It was a movement. And Detroit, hell, the country, would never taste smoke the same way again. What's your side hustle dream? Reggie was fired at 50. 13 months later, he built a 7-figure empire from Mama's recipe. Drop your hustle below. Like if this lit a fire under you. Subscribe for more comeback stories. Share to inspire someone who needs this today.